Ashoka the Great, the emperor who once ruled almost the entire Indian subcontinent, was not born with greatness. He carved it through fire, failure, pain, and finally, transformation, and his story is one of the most powerful journeys from darkness to enlightenment that history has ever witnessed. Because before he became known as Ashoka the Great, he was known as Ashoka the Fierce, a warrior prince driven by ambition, trained in battlefields, forged in fire, and raised in a world where power was the only language rulers understood. Yet within this warrior lived a restless soul, a man searching for meaning beyond swords, beyond conquest, beyond victories that felt increasingly hollow. And this inner conflict would set the stage for one of the most extraordinary transformations in human history. When Ashoka ascended the throne of the Mauryan Empire, he brought strength, discipline, and fearlessness, expanding his kingdom with unmatched strategy and intelligence. But the turning point, the moment that reshaped not only his life but the fate of millions, came with the Battle of Kalinga, a conquest he believed would complete his empire but instead broke his heart, because when the war ended, the battlefield was not a symbol of victory, but a graveyard of humans. Tens of thousands lay lifeless, hundreds of thousands were injured, families were torn apart, cities burned, and amidst that unimaginable suffering, Ashoka felt a deep, painful awakening that no sword could cut, no enemy could deliver, and no victory could justify, for he realized that in winning the war, he had lost his own humanity. And in that moment, standing on the ashes of destruction, Ashoka made a decision that would echo through time. He vowed that he would never again wage a war of conquest, that he would turn his kingdom from one built on fear to one built on compassion, from one ruled by violence to one guided by Dharma, peace, and justice. And this transformation was not a weakness, but the greatest strength any ruler has ever displayed, for it takes courage to wield power, but it takes far greater courage to transform it. From that day onward, Ashoka dedicated his life to serving his people, spreading the teachings of peace, kindness, and moral responsibility. He built thousands of hospitals, schools, rest houses, roads, and wells. He protected animals, ensured justice for the poor, and created a system of governance based on welfare rather than domination. His famous edicts, carved into pillars of stone across the empire, spoke not of conquest but of compassion, honesty, mindfulness, unity, and ethical living, reminding people that true greatness is not measured by how many lands you conquer, but by how many hearts you heal, how many lives you uplift, how many minds you inspire. Ashoka's decision to embrace Buddhism was not an escape. It was leadership in its purest form, for he understood that the greatest battle is not fought on the battlefield, but within the human mind, against anger, greed, ego, and ignorance. And by transforming himself, he transformed the destiny of an entire civilization, spreading the message of peace not just across India, but across Sri Lanka, Nepal, Afghanistan, and Southeast Asian regions, helping shape the cultural and moral foundation of generations to come. His greatness lies not in the empire he ruled but in the empire he redefined, not in the wars he fought but in the wars he stopped, not in the victories he claimed but in the kindness he cultivated, proving that leadership is not about fear but about responsibility, not about dominance but about values, not about being remembered as a conqueror but being remembered as a guide. And today, Ashoka's story carries a powerful message for you. No matter who you were yesterday, you have the power to transform today. No matter what mistakes you have made, you can choose a new path. No matter what darkness you've walked through, you can still become a source of light. Like Ashoka, your past does not define you. Your choices do, your intentions do, your courage to change does. You may not be an emperor ruling a vast kingdom, but you are the emperor of your own mind, your own life, your own destiny, and the battles you fight against fear, negativity, overthinking, regret, self-doubt are just as real and meaningful as any war fought in history. And when you choose peace over anger, growth over comfort, discipline over laziness, compassion over ego, you are walking the same path of transformation that turned a fierce warrior into one of the greatest human beings to ever live. So today, let Ashoka's story remind you that the strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who rise again with wisdom. The greatest people are not those who conquer the world, but those who conquer themselves. and the most inspiring people are not those born extraordinary, but those who choose to become extraordinary through awareness, self-reflection, and courage. Your transformation begins the moment you decide that you are more than your past, more than your mistakes, more than your fears. Your transformation begins when you choose to become the best version of yourself, just like Ashoka the Great did, turning a life of conquest into a legacy of compassion that still inspires the world thousands of years later.